Hello, Alan here with Dusty Hikers. Every year I go out and find 5 of the best hiking shoes, and then I run them through the Dusty Hikers Advanced Footwear Research Laboratory, aka the Woods, and pick the one that I think is the best, and then share that information with you. So I have 5 phenomenal shoes here that I tested for about 2 months. I spent about 25 to 35 miles in each shoe, hiking on trails here in Tuscany and Florence. And I also run them through their paces. So I basically rate them against each other on comfort, stability, protection, and traction. So for comfort and stability, I'm basically just sort of like taking notes as I'm hiking in these shoes. I'm not only hiking on trails, I also scamper off trail and go and just sort of like run them through their paces in the woods and see how they react. For protection and traction, obviously I also am taking notes on how these shoes perform in different hiking scenarios, but I also run a sort of head-to-head sudden death competition between all of the shoes and then rank them according to which one I think provides better protection and which one provides better traction. So for protection, what I do is I put a different shoe on each foot and then I step on a rock and see which shoe sort of disperses that rock more, or doesn't allow the rock to sort of come up through, and I can feel it less on the bottom of my foot. And then similarly for traction, I put a different shoe on each foot and then I sort of scamper up this steep hill, which is all dirt and debris, and see which one seems to give me more purchase and more of ability to like keep moving up the hill. Okay, so first off, this is the Salomon X Ultra 4. This shoe actually won the competition. So this is, in my estimation, the best performing shoe of the shoes that I tested. It is an extremely refined, lightweight hiker. Salomon, you pretty much hit it out of the park. I've tested Salomon in the past and they never won. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact that the shoes didn't really fit my feet well. I'm happy to say that the Salomon X Ultra 4 has a decent toe box. So it's a little bit wider than some of the other Salomons that I've tested in the past. And this shoe is absolutely phenomenal. It crushed it on stability. It was by far the most stable hiking shoe that I tested, but it also does very well on traction and protection on trail. I would say the one drawback that I have for this shoe is that it's not as comfortable as some of the other shoes tested, but I do want to underline the fact that it is not uncomfortable. This is a plenty comfortable shoe, and if you're serious about hiking, and if you want to go backpacking but don't want a boot, this is a great option. This is an extremely stable hiking platform. One thing I love about it is this active support strap, which ties the lacing system down into the midsole area here. Really kind of locks your heel in. And then it also has this advanced chassis system. I don't know if you can see that, ADV/C, which again just provides absolutely phenomenal stability on trail. It's also quite flexible, and even though it's flexible, it still provides lots of support. Okay, next up, this is a shoe that I've tested in the past and a shoe that I've actually had for a year now. It's the Adidas Terrex Swift R3. This is also an amazing hiking shoe. This shoe has a lot of things going for it, but it does have some drawbacks. So one of the things I think that it has going for it is the sole. So the sole is kind of a double-edged sword. This shoe beat all other shoes in protection and traction, and that's because of this compound from Continental. It's an extremely hard rubber compound that they went with for this shoe, and so this allows it to be to provide amazing traction with these deep chevron lugs. Those are like 4.5 millimeter lugs on the bottom of the shoe. And it also provides amazing protection because this is so hard you can't feel anything underneath here. I mean, yeah, you feel that you're stepping on a rock, but you're just teetering on it and then you're moving on. It's phenomenal. It also does fairly well with stability. The reason why this shoe, I think, loses out to the Salomon X Ultra 4 is that this Salomon X Ultra 4 is lighter, and again, it's just a much more refined hiking shoe. It just has more going on for it, and I think that this shoe is it's gonna work for a lot more people, just for backpacking and hiking in general. Next up, this was the third shoe that I chose for this round of testing. It's the Salewa Mountain Trainer Light. I didn't want the shoe in the beginning. I actually chose a Hoka 11 Anacapa Low, and I just could not get the shoe to fit my foot. But I just moved to Italy, and this is an Italian shoe. It was started in Germany in like 1920, and now they're headquartered just south of the Austrian border in the Italian Alps. Salewa is known for sort of more of a mountaineering, climbing sort of company, a little bit maybe like Scarpa and some other Italian brands. But I was pleasantly surprised. I'd never really heard of Salewa before I bought these shoes, and I didn't know much about them. This is an amazing hiking shoe, and it's also by far the most comfortable shoe that I tested. It's also the heaviest. I think some of the things that I like about this, I love the uppers. It has this hybrid sort of approach hiking shoe DNA into it. You can see how the laces go all the way down to the toe. And then you can also see on the sole, this is typical of approach shoes. It's got a lot of flat rubber surface here for getting better grip on rock, and it's the same on the heel. All in all, this is a phenomenal shoe. It's not a brand that a lot of people have heard about, but this shoe is going to make a lot of people happy if they were to get it. If you're tired of buying the same old brands of Merrell and Salomon and all of that, check out this shoe. Pretty sure you can get it in the US, so give it a try. This is an unbiased independent review. So I spent hundreds of dollars on these shoes, and I spent 2 to 3 months of my time at this point reviewing these shoes for you. If you want to help me out, please consider hitting like on this video. I mean, you're already at this point, why not? And then the other really big thing that I could use from you right now is that I am so close to 1,000 subscribers, I can taste it. Just take 1 second of your time and go click on subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. And later, if you're not interested in the channel, you can just unsubscribe. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have the North Face Vective Exploris with Future Light. You can see Future Light right there. That's their sort of Gore-Tex waterproof membrane. This is an amazing shoe that I also tend to like to wear on just daily use. This is a shoe that was born from North Face Vective running shoe line of shoes. And I think what happened was they said, hey, these Vective running shoes are doing quite well. Why don't we sort of branch off into another market and make hiking version of these? And I think for the most part, they did a very good job. It's excellent construction. It's very well made. It has this Cordura mesh upper, which is extremely tough. And then it's got this TPU overlay that goes all the way around for lots of protection. These shoes also scored second in protection, and I don't think they even have a rock plate. It's because the sole and the midsole section is so thick. And so there's a lot of really good things about the shoe. When you're in this shoe, you're gonna wanna move, and you're gonna wanna move quickly. So if you're on flat, even ground, and you wanna cover a lot of ground, you will be able to do that in this shoe. It's also one of the lighter shoes that I tested, and it's amazing for walking. So this shoe, I awarded it the award for best walking shoe. So here's the big sort of catch with this shoe. It's a rockered sole design. I don't know if you can see that, but this is quite rigid. And so if you're not used to this design, and I wasn't, you're gonna find yourself wanting to walk, but the moment that you stop, you're either standing on your heels or you're standing on your toes. And I remember vividly one point I went off trail and I got up on this rock and I almost fell backwards because I was standing there on my heels, because this shoe kind of forces you to do that. And I started to do this and almost fell backwards. So this is not a shoe that I would take on a backpacking trip, but that's my personal impression, because it just feels unstable with the rockered sole design. It's something that I'm not used to. But if you want a great walking shoe that's waterproof, this would be the way to go. Also, there's already the North Face Vective Exploris 2 is already out. So this shoe is available for purchase at an extremely discounted rate. Hey, before I forget, all of these shoes are linked in the description, so if you also want to help my channel, consider purchasing those shoes through those links. I also have blog posts on all of these shoes, and I'll also link those in the description, so if you're more of a word person, you can check those out. Okay, finally, the last 2 years that I did this round of testing like this, a Merrell shoe won. It wasn't the Moab, but this is the Merrell Moab 3. I had never worn a Moab before. I knew how important this shoe was, the mother of all boots, for Merrell. It's sort of one of their flagship hiking platforms. So this shoe, for me, is the best value. This shoe is like $50, $60, $70, even $80 cheaper than some of the other shoes here. And it does have all of the characteristics of a modern quality hiking shoe. I would just say that it doesn't do anything very well. And this is sort of endemic of the Vibram outsole that they decided to go with. So this is a Vibram compound that's not rigid and it's not super soft. It doesn't provide amazing traction. It sort of tries to do everything, and that's what I would say about this shoe. It kind of tries to do everything, but it doesn't do anything extremely well. It wasn't the most comfortable shoe that I tested. It wasn't the most stable. In fact, maybe it was one of after this shoe, it was probably the least stable. It doesn't provide amazing traction. It kind of tied for last in traction, and it also doesn't provide amazing protection. But if you don't want to bust the bank and you want an extremely capable hiking shoe, then I would consider the Merrell Moab 3. Again, it's got a lot of history to it, and there are a lot of people that love this shoe and wear it hiking all the time. All right, that's it for this year's Dusty Hikers Best Hiking Shoe of the Year. Hey, before I forget, I have in-depth videos on each one of these shoes. So if you're interested in one of these shoes, you want to know more about the Salomon X Ultra 4 before you go buy it, then definitely check out those videos. I go more in-depth into the materials, the construction, just more in-depth about my experience in hiking in that shoe. Thank you, and I will see you guys in the next one.